Right, so I'd like to call this special meeting of the Academic Senate of Santa Barbara City College to order on this day, August 10th at 1:03 p.m. Let me share my screen with you all. There we go. Screen sharing. All right. Call to order. Academic Senate values. As usual, I pick one of these out to highlight at the beginning of every single meeting. So today I'll highlight number 8, like I did last meeting, commitment to working with an equity mindset and to upholding the mission of the college to foster an equitable, inclusive, respectful, participatory, and supportive community dedicated to the success of every student. As senators, we should center equity in all matters brought before us and question who may benefit from our decisions and actions and who may be harmed. Zoom meeting guidelines. I know those of you that have been to many academic Senate meetings are very familiar with this. You'll remain muted until called upon and recognized by me, the Senate President. If you would like to speak, please raise your virtual, as in the Zoom raise hand feature. We have only one item on today's agenda, which is the accepting of documents of our vote of no confidence from last meeting in the Board of Trustees. 2 documents are attached, 1 resolution and 1 writ of particulars that we should discuss. So unless I hear otherwise, I will assume that our agenda is accepted as shared and distributed. Giving people a moment to speak up. And I'm seeing nothing. Which brings us to item 3.1. We are a Brown Act committee. So if you are not an official Academic Senate member and would like to speak to the Senate at this time, you may raise your virtual hand. You will be given 3 minutes to share your thoughts with us. Typically, I also, just gonna mute you for just a second, Dr. Benjamin. There was feedback. You will also, typically you also have an opportunity to provide public comment immediately before one of the agenda items, but because today's agenda only has 1 item, now is the opportunity for non-senators to share with the Senate their thoughts. So I did have 1 prior request for a public comment. If anybody else is here that would like to provide public comment, please raise your virtual hand and I will call on you after our first speaker. And Dr. Benjamin, you're here on 2 accounts. That's probably why you were echoey. So
yeah, I got all confused.
Okay, there we go.
All right, let me leave this one. Is it my turn, Dr. Napoleon?
It is your turn. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. And hello to everybody who's present today. I've been here a while, so it's nice to see either your face or your photograph, because many of you I have not seen for obvious reasons. We used to have what we call normal circumstances, and I would have seen you at least by now on campus or in a hallway. But I'll settle for this. So thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to speak. And I just want to speak briefly under the 2 minutes, I'm sure, in regard to your vote of no confidence in the SBCC Board of Trustees. And I just want to start by saying that I have had successful encounters with academic senates all the years I've been a CEO. I was a president, as many of you know, of a college in a multi-college district, and then I served as chancellor as well. And so throughout my tenure, I've had successful relationships. And I think it was partly because we always took time to dialogue and adhere to the concept and the mandate for collegial consultation. And to me, this situation here at the college right now is no different. My plan was to speak to you last week And I didn't because I was encouraged a bit because the vote of no confidence was not agendized and it ended up being voted on anyway. So here I am today to say to you what I had planned to say to you last week. And it's to urge you and to implore you. Of course, you do what you like, but I'm here today to urge you and implore you to do three things as you move forward with your decision. And the first is to follow the Title V mandate to consult collegially on this matter with the board. Second, to follow the Brown Act, of course, and notice your meetings properly so there's no question about what you're doing. And the third, which may be a little harder, would be to follow due process. And when I say that, I'm asking that you give the board an opportunity, the board members, because there are 5 involved here, the opportunity to respond to your accusations, to engage in dialogue with them and find a pathway forward that way. And then in doing that, all these things happen, I think you will be demonstrating to our students especially, and to our community, that we can resolve issues between and among ourselves by talking, working collegially, as is mandated by Title V. The thing I want to add, though, my observation, it was an observation I had before, and I still have it, and that is that I think you guys need to do a whole review of your shared governance process, participatory governance process, because so much has changed. So many of the players have changed. I don't know if you've had a dialogue around the roles and responsibilities of the staff, of the students, of the administrators, of the faculty, and of the board in shared governance. What is each individual's roles? What are the steps? So that everybody's on the same page, I think is critical to any success that you have in decision-making on this campus. And if you choose to do that, I think you should have an outside and external facilitator who really understands this stuff, someone who is mutually agreed upon by all the groups to walk you through it. And it would take more than a day or a couple of hours because it's really, really serious. And decision-making in participatory governance is so important. I mean, it's mandated that we do it. And there's a reason for that because all the voices do have to be heard. But anyway, that concludes my comments. And thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you today.
Thank you, Dr. Benjamin.
You're welcome. And I will say goodbye. So have a good meeting.
Well, wait a minute. Wait for one moment, Dr. Benjamin. Just in interest of full disclosure, I am the one that encouraged Dr. Benjamin last week not to speak with us. And I did that for one main reason. I honestly didn't think that we were going to do a vote of no confidence last week. And that's the way our conversation went after a really long and important conversation and meeting. So if you were wondering who did that, that was me. And also Dr. Benjamin shared some of the thoughts that she had about it. And I said, well, I was going to share those things with you. So I hope that you found last week when I spoke with you all that I was, as I said last week, trying to play devil's advocate. Thanks again, Dr. Benjamin.
Okay, thank you, Rayanne.
Mom,
Yes.
you are eating more macaroni.
You want more mac and cheese. Good thing Dad's here.
Okay.
Told you the mac and cheese was gonna interrupt the meeting. Okay, are there any more requests for public comment at this time? If so, please raise your hand. If not, after this, only senators will be welcome to speak during the meeting. Please raise your virtual hand. Okay, I am seeing no requests. So let us move on in our agenda. Item 4.1, vote of no confidence in the Board of Trustees. As Dr. Benjamin mentioned, at our last meeting, we moved that vote to action and carried it out. I can't remember the count off of the top of my head. There was 2 noes and 1 abstention for that vote of no confidence. Part of our motion was to create a resolution defining the vote of no confidence, as well as a document called a writ of particulars. My understanding was also that those documents were to be created relatively quickly so that we could button up our work, so to speak. I want to thank Dr. Tara Carter for doing the lion's share of that heavy work over the weekend and getting the writ of particulars together for us. Also, Robbie Fisher contributed to editing, and I know that a lot of senators contributed to editing that as well. So they are discussion items at this point. If we want to move both or either to action, we would need a 2/3 vote. There wouldn't be a discussion on moving them to action. And then once they were in action, we could entertain a motion for approval and then a discussion. Sometimes, especially when we don't have a parliamentarian, as I mentioned last meeting, Librarian Kenley Neufeld, who was serving as our parliamentarian and past president, has since retired. So being that we don't have a parliamentarian officially for this meeting, let's try and keep things as clean as possible. And let's try and avoid as many friendly amendments as possible. So let's make sure that thoughts are taken into consideration before any motions are made, if motions will be made. The other thing I'd like to share with you is that we've had some pretty long marathon meetings, and I certainly don't want to stifle conversation, but I want to remind you all about that WAIT acronym. Why am I talking? Why aren't I talking? Meaning that if we can kind of be both we're all eloquent, elegant, and succinct when we share with the Senate today, that would be really helpful so that we can all get back to our business, which is serving students. I feel like there was one more thing I wanted to share and I can't remember what it is right now. So anyways, let's open this up for discussion. Ben.
Hello, everyone. First, I just want to say thanks, Marianne and Tara, for writing that and completing the homework. I was reading through it, and I know that this is probably before my time. I'm going to look at it real quickly here. But on 1A, on the writ or particulars at the very last sentence, it says the result has been the resignation of 3 superintendent presidents. I know that when I got hired, I believe Dr. Beebe retired for health reasons. So I don't know if that is, oh, sorry, you're sharing the screen, so I shrunk mine. Or, yeah, there you go, 1A. And then, and I believe the previous superintendent president retired because they retired to retire. And then, so yeah, I'm not sure if that last sentence, I'm not a lawyer, but, and again, it's before my time. So I'm not sure if that's accurate. That's all, that last sentence there on 1A. So.
Yeah, we can certainly clean that up. I'll push you in a second, baby. I'm trying to think about how to say this. Resignation, retirement generally are, I would argue that retirement is a type of resignation. Whether or not they retired because of the board, I think is only speculation, which is probably a really good reason why we should clean this up. Because we want it to be clean. But I think if you were to talk with people that were here at the time of Lori Gaskin's quote, retirement asterisk from SBCC, because she did continue to work. In fact, she works for the accreditation council now. That there may have been official reasons, which again, we want to be clean, but that, let's say it was widely spectated and commonly accepted that the board presidents were leaving because of a collective campus culture, let's say this. So perhaps pointing fingers, we would say it's the board and the board would say it's us, but yeah. So let's think about that language for sure. Trisha?
Thanks. I have two questions. One is, if there is a vote about to approve the documents today, will they be voted on separately, or would it be a collective vote?
That is the exact thing I wanted to say. Thank you for helping me remember. I really think that we should not make a motion of them together, especially because the writ is so long and the resolution is so short. I don't want us to move both to action and both included in the same, let's say if it's an approval motion, and then sit here and nitpick, especially the longer document. I think the resolution is probably the cleanest and easiest. So, you know, I'm not a voting member and I only facilitate this meeting, but I would make a recommendation to the body to move that one to action and approval if that's the way this conversation is going to go today, and then focus on the writ after.
Okay. And then the second question is the understanding of kind of the purpose of the action part of the document. So I would like to hear from other senators and anyone else. Is this the place to propose specific kind of suggestions or actions, a little along the lines of what Dr. Benjamin was talking about? You know, I didn't write on every one of them because I didn't want, if it was not appropriate, I didn't want you to have to do a lot of, you know, erasing there, I should say. But, you know, she was saying, proposing a review of shared governance that with an outside arbiter or mediator to review the rules, like that would be, is this the place where we can propose those ideas? Or is that, or not? I guess I'll just leave it there. I just like to hear what other senators thought about that issue.
Ellen?
I just had a suggestion in response to that phrase about superintendent presidents resigning. We could just say the result has been a high rate of turnover in the superintendent president position.
Like that, Ellen?
Yeah.
Ben, what are your thoughts on that, since you're the one that raised that concern?
I just thought, I don't know. I know that you this wants to make a point, and I know the ending sentence is trying to make that point, to drive home that point. But to me personally, I thought it would be good ending with the previous sentence where it would say, making it difficult for the superintendent president and the executive vice president to do their jobs effectively. I mean, if I quit somewhere from a job or resign, I don't those still there can talk about why I quit, but only I would know why I quit. You know, yes, the workplace would be a bad one, let's assume. But you know, no one would know except for me why I resigned. That's just my personal feelings. That's all.
I'm with it. I think it's cleaner.
I mean, that's a very good point. That sentence right there, where it makes them hard to do their job, because that's facts, right? But I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe they, you know, wanted to do more like QVC shopping, right? So, yeah, oh, I agree. I think it is cleaner and more effective if we kill that off.
Thank you
Joy?
for bringing that. Oh, sorry. Just thank Ben for bringing that up, because that was one of the comments I got from one of the faculty who responded, like, didn't he quit because he was sick? You know, so I think that removes some of the issue there. Thank you.
So I respect Dr. Benjamin's opinion, and I was just wondering if anyone else had the thought, since we made the vote of no confidence before the board meeting and they ended up adopting the vaccine mandate. It seems like, this is just my thought that I want to put out there earlier rather than later in the meeting, that maybe this idea of the writ of particulars would be more relevant for them to respond to these accusations rather than the vote of no confidence. I mean, we could support one versus the other. And I do think we should probably review shared governance rules with an outside person. I really like that idea. So I tend to put my energy into the writ of particulars as a vehicle of dialogue. I don't know if that makes sense to other people.
So I might have misunderstood you, Joy. But we had, past tense, a vote of no confidence.
So that was already delivered to the board. I guess, yeah, maybe I'm confused on the sequence, because it just seems like, so now your point is that the no confidence in those members goes forward no matter what.
We could renege,
Mhm.
could make a motion and go back on the vote of no confidence.
And go forward with the writ of particulars. That's possible.
It is possible. That is the answer to your question. It is possible.
Some of the feedback I got from my division was the question that, was this a necessity now that the board, you know, finally adopted the vaccine mandate? And the writ of particulars listing their wasting of time and all of their other infractions would still get the point across.
So I don't want it to come from just me. I would really encourage other senators to speak up, and I'm seeing some hand raises, so maybe you'll get to these points as well. I thought I tried to impress upon this body the severity of our move at the last meeting. I also thought I impressed upon this body the importance of informing your faculty what the issues were and why. And I also felt as though I impressed upon this body that having a vote of no confidence around a single issue was going to be extremely damaging. So if I didn't impress that upon this body very well for last meeting, that's something that needs to be taken up with me in a very formal way, because that would show the derelict of my duties as the Senate president. So if that's what I'm hearing and understanding, I think that what I'm trying to say is that I think that this body would need to consider a censure of their academic Senate president. So yeah, I mean, I think that we need to talk about this more, because I'm getting the impression that you walked away from last meeting with a different understanding of what we were doing and why we were doing it than I have. I saw a similar discussion in the science division. So yeah, I think that we need to think about this and talk about this aspect of it as a academic senate. I also want to share now that I can't tell you. So I answered your question, which was yes, of course, we can take back a motion. We can, and we can move forward with a writ that is writ of particulars. That is a possibility. I thought we talked last time about moving forward with just a writ and the pros and cons of that. But I think it's important for me to state out loud that if we were to renege on the vote of no confidence that we held, that would be politically damaging to this body for years. Which is why I think if that were the case, you would, I would need to recuse myself from the conversations, and like you would all need to talk about censuring me. So I see other hands up. So Robbie, Ellen, and then Robin.
I feel like I was part of that conversation with the sciences division where some people said, but wait a minute, I voted only to do the vote of no confidence, without realizing that there are actually hundreds of other faculty members on campus. So I think it's a foregone conclusion in some electoral process like this, where everybody expresses their opinion and then some 15 of us get to vote. It's a foregone conclusion that not everybody is going to get exactly what they wanted. But I also feel strongly that we discussed all these nuances last time, and we covered the possibility of doing something other than a vote of no confidence. And what I said last time in response to that, I think maybe still applies, which is that if you think the vote of no confidence might not do anything, especially when accompanied by a writ of particulars, then certainly the writ of particulars by itself is not going to do anything. With respect to Dr. Benjamin's comments, I feel like we've tried over and over with the Board of Trustees to communicate with them, to say, hey, we have complaints X and we have complaints Y and Z, and we've kept getting nothing. And although I totally agree with and appreciate Ben's comments about we don't actually know why those people retired, and I'm glad he brought those up, it is nevertheless true that we have an unprecedented rate of turnover of presidents. And I think we probably shouldn't publicly make the claim that this is why they retired, even though we all sort of know in our heads that that probably is the case. So, and also the other thing I wanted to say is that if we renege on this vote of no confidence, there are lots and lots of faculty members who are going to feel very betrayed, because we spent a long time getting here and we discussed and discussed and discussed. And then we had the meeting, and at the meeting we discussed and discussed. I would strongly oppose reneging on this. And I feel like I did a really good job with my division telling them exactly what was happening and exactly what it meant. And still there are, I don't know, 6 or 7 people on an email thread today going, hey, wait a minute. I don't know if there's a way around that, but I definitely do not feel that reneging on this vote is the way around that.
Ellen?
Yes to what Robbie said, and Ray, I do think you made things very clear last week, what we were doing. As the person who made the motion to actually vote on for the vote of no confidence, which was then amended with a friendly amendment to do the writ and have this meeting and come back with the details. I was very clear that what I was doing was asking us to vote to implement this vote of no confidence against the board based on a whole variety of issues beyond the vaccine mandate. My division was very strongly in support of that, not as a single issue, not the vaccine mandate was not even the primary piece of that. And I also agree with what Robbie said, that over many years, we have given the board a whole lot of feedback in a whole lot of different ways, formal and informal, individual faculty members speaking at board meetings, students, classified staff speaking at board meetings, the Senate president's report to the board, much communication about specifics of things that we're concerned with regarding our working relationship with them. And that has gone nowhere. So, so I think we're beyond that. I think we're beyond just if it's a performance evaluation, I totally agree in principle that you spell out the issues and give the person the opportunity to address them and improve before you take the next action. We have done that, and this is the next action. That's how I'm seeing this, and I think that's what my division supports. And I would be very concerned, especially to go back on this. I agree with Robbie. I think there'd be a lot of faculty who would not support that. But I think that also would further conflate the idea that this is about a vaccine mandate, which it is not. That is how they handled that is a symptom of a larger problem. It's not the primary problem in itself.
Thank you, Ellen. Robin, and then Anna.
Yeah, I don't want to reiterate some of what's already been said, a lot of which I agree with. We talked for over 4 hours in our last meeting. I feel like we covered and recovered and reiterated all of this so many times. It's confusing to me that everybody wouldn't be clear at this point. So I'll just say my division talked about this at length. They were very strongly in support of a vote of no confidence because of longstanding issues revolving around board interference in operational matters and matters that directly affect our students in ways that are overreach of their role. I don't think my division, I know I personally wouldn't, but I'm pretty sure my division would never have agreed to something as strong as a vote of no confidence because we disagreed with the board over a single issue. That would seem to be not the correct way to go for disagreement over a current immediate issue. My division would not in any way be okay with me changing their vote because my vote that I cast here is their vote on this issue. I really think that we covered strongly last time the fact that a vote of no confidence is a very big deal. It is a last resort, and that it shouldn't be made over a disagreement on one issue, which is why we put together painstakingly a lot of documentation about the longstanding issues with lack of communication and lack of action on the part of the board. So I'm genuinely baffled at the notion that this was a vote strictly about the vaccine mandate. And that we would say, okay, well, we threatened this, we got our way, and now we're pulling it back, I think is a very weak move that also would undermine our credibility as an institution and as a governance group. So I feel like we covered so much of this last time, but I'm strongly not in favor of considering taking back the vote of no confidence. I think it costs us a huge amount of ground and bargaining power going forward as we try to reach resolution. I do agree that, and we have asked for a long time for mediation and dialogue with the board. I think this is, as someone else mentioned, our next step in getting to a place where we can begin to have meaningful addressing of these concerns. So,
Can I just say, I appreciate all your comments. I don't want to take any more time with this issue so we can move ahead and look at the documents. I just want to reiterate, I am completely new to this position. I didn't pay attention to the board, so you guys have a really deep history with the board. I appreciate that. I thank you for taking time to go over it. I get it. So let's just move on to the documents. You don't have to keep reiterating what clearly is a majority opinion. And I ask forgiveness if I wasn't crystal clear on all of that last time. I was the one that was really interested in attaching the writ of particulars. So I got my way in that regard. So let's move on.
Anna?
So I definitely want to get back to the document, and I will go on record in case this comes up. I will not support pulling back the vote of no confidence. I wanted to ask a clarifying question about the two documents. I definitely feel more comfortable with the resolution or motion. I have questions about what it is or what it should be called. I feel like I would like to have more time with the bigger document because we literally didn't have a lot of time to review it ourselves, to share it with our constituents. So I'm wondering if it would be possible to hold off, like approve one and hold on to the other a little bit longer to make sure that it really represents, you know, the messaging that we're trying to get across. So I guess I'll pause there and see what the answer is.
So the tricky thing about votes of no confidence is that there's no policy or guidelines for how this goes and looks. You have to look at other colleges, what they say and do and have done, and do your own research. And another thing that, Franny, hold. Yes, I'll do that. And another thing that you have, well, another thing that I did was I called a meeting with Dolores Davison, the state academic senate president, to get her guidance. The writ of particular idea came from her. It is not anything that needs to be included in a vote of no confidence. The Senate seemed interested in it last time, and so that's why we created it. I was fried by the end of our last meeting, and I didn't want to.
You want to do it.
Okay, here's your, I can't do it. Sorry, I'm winding a yo-yo. I didn't want to discourage it, but I don't see the writ of particulars as as anything more than an informational document and basically already the one that we had developed. Like, I mean, I don't want to minimize Tara's work, but like the lion's share of her work this weekend was like reformatting a document that we already had and that was to inform the Senate body. You know, so it is what it is. The Senate can take it or leave it. We can continue to bang it out. I had a conversation with another faculty leader the night we voted and moved for the vote of no confidence. And that person and I discussed that neither of us really saw this actually playing out last week. Like I said, I mean, I shared that earlier about my conversation with Dr. Benjamin before the meeting as well. And this person said to me, well, now that we have it, let's make it effective and useful. And the advice I received, which I think is very good sound advice, is to prepare the documents and request to get them on the very next board agenda, similar to what we did with the vaccine mandate, which is where I requested an agendized item, to force the board to discuss this issue and allow me to talk to the board outside of my regular report time. So I don't feel strongly that we need a writ of particulars. It was created because that's how I understood the motion at the last meeting. I think it would be cleanest and most effective just to move forward with the resolution, but that's the will of this body. I will say that I would not find it effective to have a writ of particulars after, you know, moving something on the board agenda for the August meeting. But other people might feel much differently.
No, I agree with that. I was just thinking, I guess similarly, and I think I named this at the previous meeting, the documents already put out there what the concerns are for folks. And I guess I'm comfortable with whatever the group wants to do. I just want to be honest that I did not have a lot of time to review this as a part-timer who's a counselor and in back-to-back meetings with students all day, every day. So there's that. My second piece that I just wanted to name is about Dr. Benjamin's comments. And I just wanted to remind folks that collegiality is often used to silence people, and that the comments really landed offensively on me to assume that we would sit here for 4 hours and deliberate this and assume we hadn't tried other things or make comments that make it sound like we haven't tried other things. I take personal offense to that because I personally have, and I know many people in this room have. And so I just wanted to name that for some folks, this may have felt like a single issue thing because it was a single issue for you. For many of us, this, like I mentioned in my last comment, last meeting, my entire time at SBCC has been combative. And I feel in survival mode because my existence on this campus doesn't always feel like I am welcomed or like I belong. And I think that needs to be sat with. This is not a single issue thing. People have been attempting to have these collegial dialogues with the board, and they have chosen not to reciprocate that. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you for that, Anna. I feel very similarly. I also, one of the frustrations I had with the conversation in my own division, because they were saying, some folks were saying that this was the most important issue to them and their classroom, which made me realize that they're literally saying misogyny and racism aren't issues for their classroom, or like this is like the one that really matters. And I don't think that they meant that, but it was very telling that this is the most important issue. And now that we got what we wanted, we don't have to worry about all the other stuff that has annoyed us about the board, but hasn't affected our classroom. And I find that to be a very privileged viewpoint. Because I can say that the misogyny and racism exhibited by our board has certainly affected me and the students I work with. So I just want to say I feel similarly, Anna. Robbie?
Well, you stole some of my comments. I was going to talk about the privilege of what we see and don't see as issues on this campus and how it came out in this conversation that you just alluded to. Part of the deal with being elected representative is taking your colleagues' word for it when they say something that something is happening that you don't see, that I don't see because of my privilege. So yeah, I want to support Anna's comments in that way. I agree with Ray that if we're going to put this writ forward, we should do it right away. And I really like the idea of getting it on the board's agenda and having whatever we're going to produce be ready at the time that it goes on to the board's agenda. I also like the writ of particulars. I didn't feel so strongly about it last time, but now that I see it and the way Tara has written it, I think it would be really powerful to include with our resolution. So I support getting it out the door as soon as possible and including it. And I will not vote down anything other than that, but that's what I support.
Thank you, Robbie. Other comments, discussion points, questions? Robbie, is your hand still up? Yeah, okay.
Driving
Trisha?
with my blinker on, sorry.
Trisha?
So I didn't really hear an answer to the question about whether this is the vehicle to offer specific request. And, again, I appreciate that you have, a lot of you have made pleas to the board and so forth. But this, I remember something stood out last time about the, one of my constituents said it was quantifiable accountability, and that if there is something that we can specifically request that will foster, will make it clear that the dialogue is not working or is working, then between the board and the Senate and others, then I think that is something that can be referenced at times when board people are up for election or so forth. So you'd have a quantifiable, and again, I'm not discounting people's past experience, but saying like I tried to talk to the board and I tried that is I believe you, I do trust you, Robbie, but I think that going forward, and I think that going forward, that having that more clearly spelled out and being able to highlight instances going forward, because we've made this thing, how are they improving, might be something useful in the future. So the specifics, so just the specifics, and then I'll stop there.
So I tried, you're right, I didn't exactly answer your question. I tried to say that a writ, okay, let me say this differently. A writ of particulars is going to be what we make of it. A bill of particulars, a writ of particulars is detailing our charges, why we have those charges, the evidence of those charges.
Yeah.
We want it to be a vehicle for change. Fine. You are a senator. Give me the language that you want in there or put it in there yourself and let's move on.
Okay,
right?
I did. I did in 2 places. And then I didn't want to, like Tara, I'm in the middle of doing grades and attended everything, so it's also kind of a rush time. So I thought rather than, craft the, come up, sort of generate some specific ideas. And again, not having interacted with the board, I don't know if these are appropriate or not. So I did put them in. I would like feedback maybe on it. I think that it boils down to, I'm not sure what we expect the board to do after they receive this vote of no confidence, because it seems like the action items are like, you need to think more, they seem a little, and maybe that's the intent, maybe that's what we want, or not we, maybe that's what the majority of people want here, but they're just like, you need to work harder to communicate better, or you need to do that. And people who already think that they communicate well, or people who do not think that they have overstepped their bounds, I just don't know how effective that's going to be. So I'm not sure. And again, it's just my, like Joy, I'm new to this as well. What exactly do we expect the board to do with this document? Like, we're expecting them to then come with proposals to make changes about what they're going to do to be better? Or, it's a genuine question.
So a writ of particulars outlines the charges. If you want to include something quantifiable in there, we can. I don't know what that looks like. We want them to be more communicative. Do you want us to say, please send us 10 emails a week? Do you want,
No, please don't. Yeah, not that. No, it was what I wrote, and I don't know if it didn't show up, was that when the board, let's take the first one. The board, one of the charges, the board oversteps its bounds. It does things and takes on tasks that it should not be doing, right? Fair enough, you have a lot of evidence on that. So if that is the case, and again, this was just a brainstorming last night at God, who knows what time, was that if we, or anybody observes that the board is overstepping their bounds, that we would make a charge to the board, and the board needs to respond within a certain amount of time, that this is why they feel they are justified, and that is why it's in their purview. That they could say, well, according to board policy, blah, blah, blah. So that would be something that it would be reasonable. If we're wrong, if I am accusing the board of overstepping their bounds, and I say, you're overstepping your bounds, you do not have a role here, and here's why, and then they don't respond, or they can't point to why they have it, then that is something that I think that later on we can point to that. What's another thing? Like, I remember, Robbie saying something a while ago about how, he sent an email asking for justification and didn't hear anything back. So if we put in there that when, or your idea too, about when there's a dissenting argument, that it would be useful to have a explanation of the dissenting argument or something. That's what I'm thinking of. Not, I don't know. Is that practical? Could it work? Do we have any authority to ask them to do that? Is it reasonable? That's what I had in mind, not what you were saying before.
So,
and if not, then I'll just be quiet, but that's all I wanted to know.
That's not what a writ of particulars is. A writ.
Well, I thought you just said it's what we want it to be.
Okay. Yes. Anna?
And my question is to the Senate, is that what we want it to be? If it is, fine. If it's not, then that's also, I just would like to know.
Trisha, I called on Anna. Anna, go ahead.
I just wanted to answer Trisha's question. What my expectations are of the board to do with this, nothing. That's why I voted no confidence in them, because they've done nothing and I don't think they will do anything. And that's why we're here. We can't, like, whatever we put in that document, they don't have to do anything. So in my opinion, with the amount of limited time and energy that I and most of us have in this room, feel like going through and writing down in more detail what the board's responsibilities are feels like a waste of time to me. I feel like the document currently explains what the issues are. The board knows what their policies are. And you could go in and request all the things that you want to, but I don't think that it's been stated clearly enough. They literally don't have to respond or acknowledge anything that we send them. And Ray can request to be put on the agenda and they can decline to do so, is my understanding. Right, Ray?
Yes.
Okay.
Robbie and then Ellen.
Another take on it, in addition to what Anna just said, I expect them to do nothing as Anna does, but I would hope that what they would do is follow the stuff that's already there about remedial actions to take. It's already there, and it's vague stuff because it's essentially asking them to build a better relationship with us. And what actually constitutes a good relationship? It's impossible to quantify, right? But so I would expect them to do the things that are on the list of remedial actions, and we would have to apply our judgment later about whether or not they did. I appreciate the desire to make them accountable, but I don't think it's something that we can quantify. And I think that we already have non-quantifiable things on the writ of particulars that ask them to do what we want them to do.
I'm gonna say this, and I don't mean to disrespect those that are already contributing to the conversation, because Robbie just had a really thoughtful comment. Trisha, I know that you are contributing to the conversation, and Ellen, you are coming up, but I want to pull us back to that WAIT acronym. Why am I talking? Why aren't I talking? So, and I'm reminding us of that because I fear we're doing what I was worried that we would be doing, which is,
Mom,
yes, Franny.
you want
Okay, I'll get you.
food?
Yes, you want a blue balloon. Balloon blew away after the dentist this morning.
I need things now.
Okay, can you give me 5 minutes, please? Let me finish my thought, okay? Which is focusing entirely too much on this writ of particulars. The writ of particulars is to amplify the charges and like used as like a discovery tool of like, these are the charges, this is the evidence. And like, this is like a legal document and we're not like a legal body. So like, we're misappropriating it because like we got this idea from like the state academic senate president because she thought it would be a good idea for us to do to like outline the charges. I feel like we've done that. I feel like we're talking ad nauseum about it. I feel like the board and all of like, well, clearly not, because people were confused about whether this was more general than a vote of no for the vaccine mandate or not. But like, I just feel like as a body, we're focusing totally on the wrong thing. And we've just like talked for an hour about totally the wrong thing. And I'm only one person, so maybe that's not the case, but can we like progress in our conversation for a little bit? Like, that's what I'm asking. Like, can we have some movement here? Can we, you know, can somebody like decide if we're going to renege on the vote of no confidence? Can somebody decide if we're going to like throw out the writ of particulars and move with the resolution? Can somebody please decide if we're going to do exactly what Patricia has asked more than once for us to do, which is change the, you know, the outcomes we're expecting from the board? Can somebody like talk about like that, you know, that the academic senate president should be censured? Like, can we get progress there, like in one or more of those areas? I feel like we're spinning our wheels, and I feel like we're spinning our wheels. I don't have another accurate thing to say. Ellen?
Okay, I'll try to be succinct. I raised my hand again to amplify and support what Anna just said. I think that the writ of particulars as it exists, the level of detail is appropriate, and getting into more specifics in terms of what we expect is just getting too much in the weeds. And I think that we need to look at this as a supporting document for the primary document, which is the resolution itself, detailing the vote of no confidence. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
So where are we at? Ruth?
You can hear me. It looks like you can. I do not think this body should reverse its decision. As it was said before, it would lose a lot of credibility, but more importantly, a lot of thought was put into this, and that discussion was had last time. So no, I do not support that. And I do think we should address the resolution document first, and then I'm also in support of including the writ, but that should be second to the review of the resolution.
Okay, so I'm hearing from Ruth that we want to take a look at the resolution. Is reneging on the vote of no confidence a non-issue?
It's a non-issue, I think.
Okay, so it's true for Robbie, it's true for Ellen.
I spoke out. Does anybody disagree?
Yeah, like, is there anybody that wants to further discuss reversing the vote of no confidence? Okay, so let's focus on the resolution. Vote of no confidence resolution. Sharing my screen. Okay, so we have some whereases. Senator Joy Coons wanted this whereas removed. Since then, it's been edited. John Douglas from both credit and non-credit gave a rephrasing of this whereas. So where are we at with this? We like it, we hate it. Kill the whereas, like Joy wanted. Include.
Would you
10
please scroll up to the rewritten part? Or scroll down, whatever. Thank you.
So it's yeah, it's right here. Effective leadership of. Robbie?
I would be happy to support either the original or the new language, and I'd be happy to otherwise support the whole document as it is, but I'm going to resist my usual urge to move things along by just moving that and then accepting 25's friendly amendments. So it like, does it, if I were to make that motion, would anybody have a friendly amendment to add on to it right now?
We have a couple hands up. Robin's hand is up, so let's see what she says.
Yeah, in the rewrite, could you scroll down just a hair farther, Ray, to the rewrite, where it says implementing top-down initiatives. I think that that's in any initiative. And I'm a little confused about the wording of implementing top-down initiatives, since it really isn't the board's job to propose initiatives so much as to set policy. So that's the only wording in the rewrite. I like the rewrite. I just maybe wouldn't say top-down initiatives. I don't know if anybody else has a better wording there, or maybe just eliminate top-down in favor of campus initiatives, or I don't know what we want there, but maybe I'm the only person that feels uncomfortable with that wording.
Are we talking about my rewrite or John Douglas's? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Oh, John Douglas's rewrite. I mean, I'm fine with the wording in either one. But your wording makes it clear that top-down initiatives and unilateral decision-making both run contrary. So then in the rewrite, it says implementing top-down initiatives. And I think they say something different with that change. Am I being clear?
I think so. And then my question to Joy is, Joy's comment came in prior to these edits. Joy, you prefer that to be gone. Are the edits helpful, or do you still want it gone?
They are. I mean, that was my read last night, and then I reread it this morning. And then John Douglas has responded from my division, so I put his rephrasing in. To my mind, it was just a little bit repetitive, but honestly, I could have not taken in all of the whereases very effectively. So at this point, I don't have a strong opinion. If the rest of the senators think that it's really necessary, I would not be opposed to leaving it in.
Okay. Ellen?
I could go with either language, but in either one, I suggest that we add the word campus before stakeholders, because I think many board members have demonstrated that the only stakeholders they care about are voters, which they seem to think are not us. And I'm worried that the word stakeholders will read to the board as community members, not members of the campus community. So I think we need to be really clear about what we're talking about.
Yeah, you're totally right, because I can't imagine anyone thinking that a stakeholder, like, think about that phrase, a stakeholder, literally somebody that holds one of the stake for the tent that is our campus to be up. And I don't mean the circus tent that is moldy, but a stakeholder of our campus. I just yeah, we're a community college, but you're absolutely right. I just never in a million years would I think of a stakeholder as being anyone other than literally somebody that touches our campus every day, virtually or in person. So let's kill that word. Effective leadership of Santa Barbara City College requires all campus members. Is that what you said?
I mean, I think we can say campus stakeholders, just something to make it clear that we're talking about students, faculty, staff, members of the campus community, not just members of the broader community that may have no affiliation or particular personal stake in the college.
Okay, I'm zoomed in. So the editing is weird. Let me fix this. Actual size. There we go. Did not fix it. Windows 5. Yeah, something like that. Oh my God. I'm
I
gonna
hate
stop.
Google Docs.
Yeah, I hate it when you zoom in or zoom out. Okay. So again, who haven't we heard from in today's important meeting? Seems as though Joy is more into this whereas than she was previously. Anyone have comments about the resolution that we haven't heard from yet? Or any comments about the resolution that you haven't shared yet? Ellen, I assume your hand is up from previous.
Oh, yeah, that was before. I'll lower it.
So I'll ask again, is there any more comments about the resolution? There's whereases that we don't like. There's statements made that we don't like. Maybe you do like it and you want to move it to action. Maybe you don't like it and we need to do another special meeting in a week. Jess.
The bottom portion has the writ of particulars in there, so I didn't catch the date that you wanted to get this all done by, but you said if we want to get something on the agenda, we want to get it agendized. But if we approve this, does that mean we also have to approve the writ of particulars today, or just by some date very soon?
I think we could do it by some date very soon.
Okay.
But I would agree with you that the inclusion of the writ of particulars in this particular whereas would obligate us through our own resolution and declaration that a writ of particulars exists. And so that would bind the two together. I'm not clear where we're at with the writ of particulars. So I think we need to make a decision about that.
So while I'm on the mic, I would just say that I like what was written for the writ of particulars. I understand that it's not necessarily required, but there was a lot of work put into it, and I don't want that to go to waste. And I think it would still be informative for, even if it's just for one person. I think it's worth it. It's already there, so let's use it. But I don't know. I don't think I have I'm not in the right mindset to handle another 4-hour meeting today. So I would definitely love to do that at a later date. And I like the way this looks as it is right now.
Thank you. Ruth.
I agree with Jess, and I'm okay with the resolution. And I'm wondering if we can get a feel for how senators feel about the inclusion of the writ, not necessarily the specifics of what's on it. I think that would be a thing that the first thing we should determine.
Agreed. So in line with what Ruth is saying and what I'm also hearing is it seems like we're mostly happy with our resolution. And so perhaps there's an opportunity today to wrap the resolution up. But if we're moving forward with the writ of particulars, we need to make a commitment to shore that up. in this meeting or a future meeting, or we need a commitment to kill it and just be done and just move forward with the resolution. So where is the body at? I'll say one thing. I disagree with Jess. Jess said a lot of work went into it. I don't disagree with that part. That's the part I agree with. But I don't think that should obligate us to use it. I think whether or not it's a formally adopted document for posterity is not the strength of our vote of no confidence. I do not think that the writ of particulars makes or breaks our vote of no confidence. It's how the faculty body, our campus, and the board responds to the vote of no confidence. And when I say the vote of no confidence, I also don't mean this resolution. I mean the idea that the Senate has moved in such a way that we had this symbolic vote of no confidence. And I think the rest of this is just pomp and circumstance. And we've already created the documents and we've already disseminated the documents. So whether or not we accept them and wordsmith them and then present them to the board, they exist. They're on our agendas. We've all digested them. So, you know, that's where I'm at with the writ. I think the resolution explains plenty, but last meeting, it seemed as though some or all of you were very much interested in the writ of particulars, which is why it was created. But I could go either way with it, quite frankly. Robbie and then Jess.
I would like to, I'm not moving, but I would like to move the resolution for approval now with the, I don't know how to refer to it, but the original edited language with that one whereas that's in black, i.e. not John Douglas's rephrasing of it. And I guess I will make that motion unless anybody speaks up with friendly amendments they would add. And then secondly, I would like to end the meeting today with the writ of particulars in usable form. And I agree with you, Ray, that it's largely pomp and circumstance. And so I think we should not bend over backwards to obsess about commas and things like that. That it gets the point across and it gets the job done. And I think we should leave it largely as it is and accept it and adopt it today.
Jess?
I guess, sorry, I don't know if he made that motion formally or not, but I have a question. So it was mine, well, when this was originally proposed, the writ of particulars, I thought that document already existed and we just essentially put a new name on it. And it sounds like that's what you said. I know you said that before and you're saying it now, but my question is this writ of particulars going to end up in the same spot that the other document did, and so therefore be highly redundant, or are we forcing people to read it rather than providing the opportunity? I don't know if that's different, but it feels better than forcing somebody to read what we're saying. I don't know.
Yeah, so I did not go to law school. I honestly did not know. I had never heard the phrase writ of particulars prior to my meeting with Dolores Davison, right? So here I sit at the head of this table trying to stumble my way through a misappropriated concept to shared governance, right? That's being borrowed from like the legal system or like, you know, like law, or I don't even know. Danielle's probably cringing at her seat as I try and sit here and say how our US governance system works. But like, let's look at this. Like a bill of particulars or a writ is a document, formal written statement of charges or claims by a plaintiff or prosecutor given upon the defendant's formal request to the court for more detailed information. So as I stumbled through last meeting, I was trying to say, we didn't call it a writ of particulars, but what we came up with, that historical document, to me, as I read this as a lay person, are the same thing. And so as I understood last meeting, Trisha and perhaps others really wanted like actionable things. You know, I don't see from Wiki, Ellen's cringing because I have this up on my screen. Deal with it, Ellen.
I'm not opposed to it.
Okay, good. Thank you. Like,
Just think critically about it.
I feel like we had the writ of particulars previously. You know, we got some advice. Tara took her time, reorganized, resaid things. I mean, I feel like we have and had the writ of particulars, like you said, Jess, whether we named it that or we didn't, right? And that's what I've been trying to say. Now, if we want our writ of particulars to be something that it's not, let's make it that thing. You know, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I let's do it, right? So I don't know if that answers your question, Jess, but that's where I'm at with this.
So is it going to live somewhere else, or is it going to sit right next to the other one?
I mean, where it's going to live, either it's going to live on our agenda, it's going to live on the Academic Senate website, and it will live on the board's agenda if they agendize it for me. And it will probably live in the Independent, right? Other than that, that's it. It will live on the Google Drive, right? I mean, where does anything live for the college? It lives on our website for posterity. I mean, what are you thinking?
I'm wondering if it's harmful or if it's helpful or both, or it doesn't sound like it would be harmful. And like, I guess, like I said before, maybe it would be a little more helpful. I'm not sure. I mean, we have it. And so I just kind of felt like, why not? Just, let's go for it.
I would argue it's harmful if we lose credibility with it. So for instance, Ben very accurately pointed out, hey, we don't really know why Lori Gaskin retired. We can speculate, you know, there's hearsay, but we don't really know. So the harm in accepting it and promoting it is, does it open us up for criticism as a body who, as academics, didn't thoughtfully and carefully go through all claims and all sentences and make sure that it's exactly what we want to say? I would argue that that's the one harm I can think of. The pro would be it informs people of what we're talking about, and it lays things out for people. On this day, this trustee said this. You can go to the meeting video and you can watch it yourself, and here's the article written about it. So, you know, I think that's pretty compelling, but you know, as the old saying goes, I don't walk a mile in everybody's shoes, right? I'm absolutely horrified. I'm using hyperbolic language, but I'm horrified almost every single board meeting I sit through. And maybe it's because I'm very frustrated with the board, or maybe it's my own personal bias, or maybe it's just that my kid asked me for too many, you know, mac and cheese lunches that day, and I was working through a global pandemic and I was just frustrated, right? And the next person watches the exact same board meeting and says, these people are very reasonable people. right? Like, we all take from these things what we take. So is the writ of particulars, you know, telling the same story for all of us? You know, is there hyperbolic language in there that could damage the academic senate's reputation, political clout? Those are the questions we have to ask ourselves. Trisha.
Okay, so on the writ of particulars on item 1D, I did ask the question there and in the meeting. Does the idea of having something measurable, actionable, seem worthwhile, or is it out of place in this type of document? From what I'm hearing here, I'm not hearing much support for that idea. So I'm going to go ahead, if that's okay with you, and cut out those two specific. I mean, I'm going to save them. Maybe I'm eternally hopeful that maybe at some point in the future we can, if the board responds, we can use those somewhere, but I will go ahead and remove that since I do not hear much support for including those here. Is that a fair read?
Well, let's ask. We've heard some dissenting views of that. Is there anyone that would like to support Trisha in including a more measurable action of the board? Robbie,
In the writ, yeah.
in the writ.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure it was the right place. That's what I was asking. It sounds like it's not.
I raised my hand when she was offering to take it out. Sorry about that.
All right, no worries. Okay, so Robbie's in favor of taking it out. Is there anyone that would like to voice their support for Trisha's concerned about measurable outcomes with the board? Trisha, I'm seeing none. So yes, please, let's take it out. And perhaps through our informal dialogues with the board that Dr. Benjamin would like to see, maybe that is a really good time to empower you to include such things in perhaps another document or a more informal conversation. Sound good?
Okay. Yeah, and I do want to add that I did receive feedback from my constituencies between 9 a.m. and this morning, and they were in favor of it, but they don't necessarily have the history that the rest of the board has. So I will go ahead and delete those two.
Thank you, Tara, and then Ruth.
Yeah, thanks everyone. The writ, oh my God, the writ was my weekend. Here's the thing. I think the resolution is ready to go. And I think we can all agree that it is ready to go and that it needs to be presented to the board by their next meeting. What I'm hearing a lot of right now about the writ is people are confused by it. Not everyone feels that they've had an opportunity to digest what's in it. And other folks are like, nope, we have it, so let's just include it. So my thinking is actually picking up on something you said, Ray, and that is maybe we should see how the board even responds to the resolution. If they really in good faith want to work with us, then we can use that writ as a tool to work with them. Honestly, I think that writ of particulars, it's an annotation of what we had already created. It's reformatted into more proper legalese. It's something that could be sent to accreditation should the board decide to completely ignore the resolution. And for me, I'm like, I don't think we should get rid of it. I don't know that it needs to be included with the resolution. In some ways, I think the resolution needs to stand on its own. It has its own weight. Let them absorb it before then they start needling every single thing listed on that writ of particulars. Like, oh, I didn't really say that in the meeting, right? It kind of allows them to do that. There's something very heavy about like almost a single page document that just says, that's what it is. Now, how are you going to respond? Are you going to work with us in shared governance like Dr. Benjamin thinks they will? And I can hope they will. But maybe the writ becomes our pushback tool if they say, you guys are nuts. Just my thinking on it, because I don't know that in the next hour even, we're going to have it in a place where everybody feels like we've covered our bases, that if the board should really push back on it, that we could defend every instance of it. I think eventually we could, but I don't think we're getting there in the next hour.
And another shout out to Tara. She said it was her weekend. That literally allowed me to have a weekend for once. So big ups to Tara. Seriously. Ruth, Jess, Robin.
I just wanted to address the issue that Patricia brought up about actionable items and the neutral third party that Dr. Benjamin mentioned. That is something CPC can take, that we can take as faculty members, the representatives on CPC, take to CPC as a suggestion that we bring in this neutral third party to come and review the roles and responsibilities and participatory governance at this college.
Yeah. It's unfortunate it hasn't already happened. I think that that was the intent behind bringing in the State Academic Senate for that tech review, tech assist we had a couple of months ago. And I don't think that I will alarm anyone or surprise anyone when I say with it, that was actually a really big flop, and that the impact wasn't the intention of what that was supposed to be, but yeah. Jess, Robin, and let's get last comments, especially if you haven't spoken yet during this meeting and you have something to say. Jess, Robin?
So after I asked if it would be harmful, I agree with you, Ray, and then Tara's statement as well. So can we remove it from the statement, the whereas of the writ of particulars from the vote of no confidence resolution, and then like move forward with that as it is at that point?
Jess, was that an official motion, or are you asking one of your fellow senators to make a motion?
Well, I want to know if anybody disagrees with that, I guess, first. And then I don't know what I'm supposed to say after that, but I can make an official motion if nobody disagrees.
Let me so the only hand I see up right now is Robin. Robin, do you disagree?
No, I'll even second his motion if he wants to make it.
Okay. So just the way it typically goes is you say, well, we need to move this to action, and we need 2/3 vote to move it to action, and we don't have discussion on the motion. So if it gets moved to action, then we would need another motion once it's in action to accept it. So my recommendation to you, Jess, if you were so willing, you would make a motion to move the document of our resolution of vote of no confidence to action, with the whereas including the writ of particulars removed.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to move the vote of no confidence resolution document to action with the whereas of the writ of particulars removed.
And I will second.
Okay, so we've had a motion to move our resolution of no confidence to action made by Jess Estrada, seconded by Robin Goodnow, with striking or removing the whereas statement that includes the writ of particulars. Okay, so we immediately go to the vote. And again, we need a 2/3 vote. Because we were in Zoom and remote, we do our voting as a roll call vote. So I'm going to call your name. And you're going to unmute yourself and you're going to state your vote. Ellen Carey is the proxy vote as established by email prior to the meeting for Jenny Baxton. Elizabeth Chisholm is absent. Kathy O'Connor is absent. And I think everyone else is here, but it's possible that people snuck out and I wasn't aware. Okay, a roll call vote. So your votes are yes, no, or you may abstain. And the motion is just moving the resolution to action. Ben Reyes,
Yes.
Counselor Jen,
Yes.
Ellen Carey,
Yes.
Jenny Baxton, Ellen Carey,
Yes.
Joy Coons,
Yes.
Dee Dee,
Yes. Yes.
thanks, Dee Dee, I got you. I was thinking because Elizabeth is next and she's absent. Kathy O'Connor, I believe, is absent. Kathy, speak now. Robin,
Yes.
Jess,
Yes.
Robbie,
Yes.
Ruth,
Yes.
Tara,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Trisha. Did we lose Trisha?
Oh, no, I'm here. You didn't call my name.
Oh, I
You said
just
Russell.
did. Russell and then Trisha.
Oh, I didn't hear the Trisha part, sorry. I abstained for the same reason as last time. I don't feel that I have enough information that faculty in my area understood there may have been other options.
Got it. Thanks, Trisha. And Anna.
Yes, and I wanted to say that Elizabeth wrote an email saying Ellen is her proxy. I don't know if y'all saw that.
So I did, and prior to that, Ellen was the proxy for Jenny Baxton. And I was worried about an individual being a proxy for two different senators. So because we didn't get that hammered out before the meeting, and because I don't want this to look like a scramble, scramble, I made the decision to deny that. So Elizabeth was working really hard to find a sub or a proxy for her, so I'm really sorry it didn't work out. This is just so controversial that I just want to make sure that everything's transparent and on the up and up. So thanks for saying that, Anna. But yeah, I was the one that put the kibosh on that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 yeses and 1 abstention. And so the resolution moves to action. All right, so now that it's in action, I would love to entertain a motion for approval. If that is made and then seconded, we can have discussion and then a vote. Robin?
I move to approve.
Okay, so Robin Gano moves to approve the resolution of vote of no confidence.
I'll second Robbie Fisher.
Robbie Fisher seconds. So we have a motion and a second. Now we can open the floor for discussion. So Robin, your hand is up. Did you want to discuss?
Yeah, my hand was stuck up, but I'll say the comment that I was going to make before. I still think that we need to pass this as it was the will that was reflected by our divisions previously. I also want to reiterate what Tara said, which is we don't know what reaction we're going to get and can't really anticipate or include that as part of what we decide here. I'll remind everybody who may or may not know, but in 2012, when the board received a strong letter of warning with detailed infractions on it of the role of a board, that our board response for the most part was to disagree with the findings, but say, moving on. So we don't know, and that was from the accreditation board. So I think we just have to stand for what our faculty are telling us and what we've decided as a Senate. We can't really use how the board may react. Sorry for the phone.
No worries. But regardless of past history, I would argue that our guiding light should not be how another body responds. Like, we need to sleep at night based on our decisions, regardless of what happens for. Yeah.
That's exactly what I was trying to say. You said it better.
Yeah, awesome. Robbie.
I would like to include the whereas that was in question, that there was, oh, maybe I'm looking at the thing now, maybe it's already been changed. So the person from Joey Coons's division who proposed the alternate writing, I think we don't need that. And I think the writing that you edited during this meeting is good on that one whereas. Am I making any sense?
You are, but I thought that was finished business.
Okay, all
And
right.
we have, the current resolution moved with the exclusion of the whereas.
Okay, so if that's clear to everybody but me, then great. It's now clear to me too.
But as a mom of 3, as I constantly say to my children, now is the time to get your wiggles out. So academic senators. Last week was heavy and important vote, and this week is as well. Because in 10 years, nobody's going to watch the YouTube video, but they're definitely going to review this resolution document. So, any last points of discussion that needs to be made? Ellen.
I'm honestly not sure where I stand on this, but I just wanted to put my thoughts out there in case they resonate with someone else about whether or not to include the writ as is now. And I'm thinking of it mainly in terms of like a citing sources kind of thing.
Hold on.
Yeah.
We
Can we
have.
not do that?
Yeah, so our discussion focuses around the motion, which is a move to accept the resolution without the writ.
Right. So I guess so this would be discussing that part of excluding the writ. And I can just let it go if we can't do that.
As I understood Jess's motion, his motion was to move the resolution excluding the whereas that included the writ to action.
Okay.
And there's a motion to accept the resolution and a second. So our discussion is around the resolution excluding.
As it is without the, okay, never mind.
Yep. So for instance, just so that everybody knows, we could still work on the writ, but right now the motion that we are discussing is to accept the resolution. So wiggles out, senators. Trisha.
Okay, again, I already said it, but just for the record, after I did explain my abstention vote to my faculty, I did receive confirmation that some of them did not know that there were other options. So I just wanted to put that for the record. No need to just first discussion.
I only have a clarifying question for you, Trisha. What do you mean there was other options?
That there may have been the idea that did we explore all possible options, and that vote of no confidence, that was their understanding that was their only choice. They did not realize that there may have been secondary or other less extreme choices. I guess that's the words I heard back. So, and that's one of the reasons why I'm continuing with my abstention. If people had responded and said, how come you didn't vote yes, then I may have changed my mind, but I actually heard support for my abstention, if that makes sense.
Of course, and you have to vote for your division, and you are well within your right to vote no or abstain. So no questions there. So thank you for sharing that. If no one has any last discussion points, we will do our roll call vote. I'm seeing none. All right.
No makeup there, Mom.
Okay, I'll get your makeup.
No makeup.
You want? It's in your bedroom. You need eyeshadow? Okay, it's in your bedroom. It's on your shelf, your bookshelf. Okay, we're gonna do a roll call vote and then I'll help you look for it, okay? Okay. Your votes are yes to accept the resolution of a vote of no confidence, no, or abstention. Benjamin Reyes,
Yes.
Counselor Jen,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
Jenny Baxton, Ellen for Jenny,
Yes.
Joy,
Yes.
Dee Dee,
Yes.
Elizabeth Chisholm Math is absent, Kathy is absent, Robin,
Yes.
Jess,
Yes.
Robin, Jess, Robbie,
Yes.
Ruth,
Yes.
Tara,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Trisha,
Abstain.
and Anna.
Yes.
Okay, so we have 13 yeses, 1 abstention, and 2 absences. So with that, the resolution for the vote of no confidence passes and will be shared with the board by me and requested for an agenda item at their next regular meeting. So the time is now 2:49 p.m. We could, of course, go back and talk more about the writ of particulars, or we can entertain a motion to end today's meeting. Robbie,
I'm uncomfortable with ending the meeting without deciding on some fate for the writ of particulars, even if that fate is just, we're putting it aside for now. I think we should do something with it.
so we have a Senate retreat coming up in a few weeks. No, that's not true. It's literally next week. It's literally next week. Our summer is over. Okay, so we have a Senate retreat next week, which is a public and open meeting, even though it is, you know, a working meeting for us. We could talk there about the fate of that document and what the Senate wants to do with it. We could have a special meeting in the fall. We could agendize it in the fall. There's lots of things that we can do. We can make that commitment today, just with the Senate kind of sharing out loud so that Senate steering hears the will of the Senate of what we want to do. Or we could do something more formal. Robin?
I'm not quite ready to let it go. I think a few other people have kind of indicated that, just because over the years, as we have run into difficulties of communication and agreement with the board, we have often said that we needed to document the meetings where things happen and what particular board members have said. And I find this document to be really important as a beginning of that. And so I don't know that I'm ready to say what specifically we should do with it, but I'm not quite ready to just like send it off into a parking space. So I think maybe it's a valuable source of documentation for the types of grievances that we're bringing forward. That's it.
Okay, and you did get some support while you were saying that. I saw a couple of thumbs up. Specifically, I saw one from Joy. So yeah, Ruth, Ellen, Joy, and then again, anyone that wants to speak before we end the meeting, please do.
So what's our agenda like for the retreats? Usually we've already got plans for that, right?
Not to put you on blast. You're one of my best friends in the whole world, but I did send out a Google form.
Yeah, but it said, or is there anyone we want to invite? No, I know, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay. You mean in addition to that?
Right.
I emailed somebody at the State Academic Senate to see if they were available to talk about our Academic Senate subcommittee structure. They haven't gotten back to me. I don't know if they're available. Trying to agendize Kathy Scott to come and talk to us. Other than that, I'm soliciting feedback from senators now so that I can create an agenda that is stuff that you all want to do next week, but right now it's still in the works. Are you asking specifically because you have something in mind? Maybe
Well, I was thinking we already had plenty, but if you felt that, like, that there's room for that, we can add it. And I was also going to say it's probably best to take this up. I, like Robin, do not want to let this go. I think it's important that we document this. And I think it might, even though it's not going to be formally going to the board with the resolution, it's still going to have some weight, especially if it's in the fall when more people are paying attention. The channels is going to be there. We're going to publish it. We're going to clean it up. I do think that from now until then, if we do it then, that we get input from our divisions and make sure that they see this document, more input, and then we go in and actually do the editing so that we can consider those edits when we come back. So my recommendation is for us to address this early in the fall. And yeah, that's it.
So maybe this can be one of the items that is agendized at the division and department meetings for discussion during in-service as a way to put it in front of everyone. So maybe it's not best to agendize it for our retreat, like you're saying, Ruth, but maybe ask senators to put this in front of their divisions, and then we can agendize it at a regular meeting in the fall. I think that is a good idea.
Right, and we can discuss it at our meetings that we are all going to have at the start of the term, and then come back with that feedback, concrete feedback, and hopefully those edits incorporated into the document.
Right.
Ray, could I just add to what I said previously, that I think it's especially important to have this documentation because there are people who just simply don't have the time or the interest to follow board meetings. And to go back and review them when an issue comes up is extremely time intensive, as everybody who's worked on this knows. So I again, just don't want to lose that momentum.
Yeah, and I can speak from personal experience, not just my own, but let's say those in my social circle, that when other people go to the board and experience and observe what others have previously, and then to have those people be so surprised, it's a little bit insulting, right? Because it's like, well, we've been talking about this for years and now you are just noticing now, right? So I think you're right to have I think it provides more power to have it be a accepted document by the Senate rather than a document that was just kicked around and discussed. And yeah, some people said this stuff, but it, never went anywhere with the Senate. So yeah, I agree. Ellen, and then any final comments from senators?
Yeah, I agree that I don't want to lose track of it completely, in part as a citing our sources kind of way. Something you said, Ray, earlier about 10 years from now that people aren't going to be watching the YouTube video, but they may see the resolution. I don't want this resolution we just passed and the vote of no confidence itself to be entirely removed from its documentation going forward. So whether that means, that somehow if the board does agendize this, they are informed that we're still working on this, or we do something in the future in the fall once we get more input and finalize that document. I do think as someone who, like you just said, has shared a lot of my personal experience with the board and gotten some sort of disbelief in response, like it can't be that bad, I find the documentation really powerful and unfortunately necessary sometimes to really demonstrate what we're dealing with. So I think it's important that we don't just let that go or lose sight of it.
Got it. Trisha.
Just want to say that I kind of found a little depressing earlier on when we said we don't expect the board to do anything, maybe realistic, but depressing. And that's why I want to thank Ruth for offering a glimmer of hope that there are avenues, with the WRIT being one, going to CPC being another, that can hopefully, put some teeth behind the document as well. So I just want to express my appreciation for that glimmer of hope.
Yeah, for sure. Any last comments for the good of the group? I'm seeing none. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We'll do this vote by acclamation. Any no's? Okay, good, because I promised Franny eyeshadow a couple minutes ago, so I gotta go help her with that. Okay, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for your energy and your time this summer. Really appreciated.
Thanks, Ray.
I will see you
Thanks,
all
everyone.
next week at the Senate retreat, which Ruth did know about. I stand corrected. Bye.